I never imagined my humble rainwater barrels would spark a full-blown war with my homeowners association. But when they started siphoning off my water for their precious garden, how could I predict it would end with their office submerged? It all began with the satisfying drip of rain into my new barrels. After scrimping for months, I'd installed a 5-barrel system to irrigate my vegetable patch without spiking my water bill. I was thrilled, picturing my garden thriving through dry spells. But after 3 storms, something was off. My barrels were barely a quarter full despite torrential rain. Crawling under my deck, I traced the gutters and found unauthorized diversion pipes. My blood boiled. As I knelt in the mud, a shadow loomed. Mrs. Clara Thompson, president of Crestwood Estates HOA, stood at my property line, clipboard in hand, her usual sneer plastered on. "Mr. Carter," she barked, "your garden beds are 6 inches over the approved plan." Wiping mud off my knees, I shot back. "Forget my beds, who rigged these pipes?" She barely glanced at them. "The association made necessary adjustments to corner lots. You'd know if you'd attended last month's meeting. We voted to optimize water distribution." "Optimize? You're stealing my rainwater," I snapped. She sighed, scribbling on her clipboard. "Per bylaws 17.4, excess precipitation benefits community spaces. Your barrels weren't approved anyway." 2 HOA workers appeared behind her, nodding like this was normal. I trailed her as she inspected my property, spotting a network of hidden channels leading to pipes underground. "Majority rules, Mr. Carter," she said coolly. "The community garden needs irrigation." That garden, a showpiece behind the HOA office, benefited board members' properties, including Clara's immaculate colonial. I'd refused to fund it through hiked dues, and now they were taking my water? Fuming, I called the city water department, which said rainwater rights were murky and tied to HOA contracts. Digging through my files for bylaws 17.4, I found a $300 fine taped to my door for unauthorized landscaping and hostile conduct. That night, I watched the community garden sprinklers waste water, my water, despite the day's rain. My phone pinged with a text from my neighbor, Ethan. "Saw Clara at your place. You good?" I replied. "They're stealing my rainwater." He shot back. "Not just yours. Come over tomorrow. Bring your HOA contract." Ethan's dining table was buried under maps, bylaws, and drainage plans. He'd fought the HOA over solar panels and won. Pointing to bylaw 17.4, he said, "This was slipped in last year without notice. It's not binding. Could we fight it?" "Tough solo," he admitted, "but I've been talking to others. Mrs. Helen Price, down the street, is a retired hydraulic engineer. She's been tracking the board's schemes. At Helen's, her kitchen became our command center. At 72, her eyes blazed as she unrolled a neighborhood map. They're diverting water from 6 properties to their garden and that absurd pond," she said, tracing colored lines. Ethan added, "All 5 board members' homes have prime views." My phone buzzed, an email announcing another dues hike for irrigation improvements. Helen grinned, pointing to a topographic map. "The HOA office sits in a natural basin. Without their pipes, rainwater would flood it." Ethan smirked. "Right into their building." Helen slid schematics across the table. "Hypothetically, tweaking these junctions during a storm could restore natural flow." My weather app pinged. A massive storm was due Sunday, coinciding with the HOA's garden showcase. My pulse raced. "What would these tweaks involve?" Helen sketched diagrams, explaining valves and flow in simple terms. For the first time, I felt in control. Another $600 fine arrived, claiming my barrels. Ruined aesthetics. I filed it away, a calm settling over me. Clara had no clue what was coming. Friday night, I hauled supplies into my garage under gathering clouds. Helen provided custom valves to redirect water naturally. Ethan helped, his son keeping watch. 6-hour window during the storm, Ethan said. A car slowed outside Clara's SUV. We froze until it passed. "She's suspicious," I whispered. Helen arrived with laminated schematics. "That's why we're doing Phase 2, documentation." Ethan's daughter, Lily, a journalism major, compiled a report on the HOA's water theft, selective fines, and shady contracts tied to Clara's brother-in-law. Helen had filed county complaints, and our neighbor Diane, a news producer, arranged for a news van to cover storm damage. On Sunday, everything hinged on me swapping the valves during the storm's peak. Rain fell as we finished prep. The forecast predicted 4 inches, enough to overwhelm drains. At 3 a.m., I donned waterproof gear and slipped out with Helen's tools. Lightning lit my path, thunder masked my noise. I found the main junction where 6 properties water fed the garden. My hands shook as I swapped the valve for Helen's version, designed to fail under pressure, restoring natural flow. Headlights swept by Clara's SUV. I doused my lamp, heart pounding, and hid until she passed. I finished the last valve and retreated, soaked but exhilarated. By dawn, water surged toward the HOA office. From my window, I watched Clara arrive, stepping into ankle-deep water. Her face as she opened the office door, met by a wave from inside, was priceless. Board members arrived, wading through rising water, shouting accusations. By noon, an emergency meeting was called at the community center, the office unusable. Ethan texted, "It worked. Diane's news van is filming." Helen added, "Bring your fines and records. Showtime." The community center was packed with curious homeowners. Clara, hair damp, accused saboteurs of tampering, her eyes locking on me. "Some cited for violations may have retaliated," she hissed, waving soggy documents. Whispers spread. I stayed stone-faced. Helen stood. "I have evidence for everyone." She unrolled maps showing the HOA's illegal diversions from 6 properties to benefit board members. This flooding? Nature reclaiming its path when your unpermitted system failed. The crowd gasped. Ethan presented financial records, $27,000 in dues spent on the illegal system. Voices shouted, "Who pays for repairs?" Clara stammered, "Insurance." A woman strode forward. "Diana Brooks, Assistant DA. My office received evidence of illegal water diversion and fund misuse." She slapped down cease and desist orders, freezing HOA accounts. Clara sputtered, "You can't." Diana countered, 37 homeowners' complaints say I can." Modifying an illegal system isn't vandalism, it's removing unpermitted structures. Cheers erupted. Mr. Kaplan, a retired judge, proposed an interim committee. Hands shot up, including mine. Clara clung to the podium, shrieking, until security escorted her out amid thunderous applause. 3 weeks later, I unlocked the revamped HOA office, now a community resource center with transparent records. Water usage dropped 30% with our new rainwater program. Clara returned, subdued, handing me a check, refunded fines with interest. "The DA offered community service if I helped with the rainwater system," she said, wincing. "They said you're the expert." I could have sent her packing, but said, "Tuesdays at 6. Bring boots." Her stunned look was victory enough. That night, our new bylaws passed unanimously. Outside, my barrels gleamed, full for the dry season. Across the street, neighbors installed their own. The community garden thrived, and kids splashed where Clara's pond once stood. Helen joined me at sunset. "Water always finds its level," she said. "Just like justice." My simple barrels had toppled corruption and united a community. Who'd have thought? What do you think? Was our prank on the HOA justified, or did we go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate whether a little mischief is fair in the fight for fairness. Smash that like button, subscribe, and share to keep the conversation flowing.